So obviously you mentioned there's a lot of preparation that goes into these game days. Is that quite a big change between the university scene where you probably just turn up every week? Maybe you have a bit of chat beforehand, but you often just turn up, you play a game, and you see how it goes, compared to the more competitive focused tournament that is UKIN. Obviously you spent however many hours in your week scrimming, going through VOD reviews, strats, having the coach and the analyst discuss and explain everything to you. Was that like a big shift and a big change for you going from university to UKIN?
So the jump from Uni Siege to UKIN 2 was surprisingly big. I knew it was going to be intense from the beginning, but not quite as intense as it ended up being.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably just lack of experience on my part. But yeah, it ended up being 2 to 3 hour, twice a day splits at our peak. And during the exam season, we had to kind of cut it down a bit, which affected some of our match prep, unfortunately. If it didn't coincide with our exams, I feel it could have been a different season again. Like, we got very close to getting to playoffs. It's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, it's quite the shame, but unfortunately you've got to put your studies first, and it's key to have that priority for us. So obviously you said that studies got in the way a little bit of practice and preparing. So how did you manage to balance those two? Because they're quite, with the amount of hours that you could put into studying and the amount of hours that you could put into scrimming, I don't know how you managed to put that many hours in a day. So how did you manage the balance between the two?
It was definitely getting an early night's sleep and waking up early.
So
for me personally,
no late night ranked sessions.
No, not at all. None.
Oh wow!
At a point, yeah, you had to kind of. There was up until exam season where they all got cut out completely, because it was like I would end up just doing nothing for the entire morning and waking up like 11 or 12, and then I've only got like 2 hours to eat, do all my like house chores, and then I'd be left with like half an hour before scrims, which would not be good.
That was when you were going to bed later and doing ranked, right? Rather than
yeah. You gotta go to bed early. I ended up having my appointed bedtime of 12 o'clock.
Yeah, the classic point of everyone getting annoyed with bedtimes was a common occurrence. But I feel like although the bedtimes weren't quite as strict as they were in the previous season, I think people started to realise the benefit of having an earlier night in preparation, or like allowing time before a game so you could do study or you could do your chores and so on before scrims, because you realise that like it was important to all of you, I think, to scrim, and you needed it and you wanted to do it. So then the making sure you had time to fit everything else in was good. Yeah. So well done to you guys for that. I'm not going to stroke anyone else's ego again though, because my oh my, that could go wrong.
I remember MC would always wake up at 4 p.m. if we had evening scrims.
He was dreadful. But he got his work done, so somehow he managed to find time.
Oh my god.
I don't know how he did it. Well done, MC. So you said there's a big jump off. There's a surprising gap between the university scene and the UKIN scene. Now, would you say that was more in terms of like the dedication that people were putting into the league, the mechanical or like game knowledge that people had, or just the experience that a lot of these players had compared to yourselves that were able to make it feel like such a big jump? Like, what stood out to you the most?
I'd say the most standout aspects that will, I'd say, like, the largest standing out factors that differentiate Uni Siege and UKIN 2, in my opinion, would be the mechanics and understanding of the game. I can't choose one, it would have to be both of them, purely because if you have a team that really understands how to play as a team, they can beat people with better mechanics. However, a lot of the teams, including some uni teams that went for UKIN 2 calls, they did just turn up on the day, like a week before. They'd just be on Twitter asking for teammates, just friends, just going in together to see if they can actually make it through. With the exception of a few teams like 86 or what were like Team Pete at the time that were now 10-star with few roster changes. But the jump in mechanics from those players that are all like champion and like ranked heroes compared to the Uni scene, which we don't have a lot of them, but it can really like they'll put a lot of effort into their setups and their teams, but at the end of the day, they will just be outgunned in a sense. It's unfortunate because there's still a lot of potential, I think, for both.
Yeah. Well, yourselves and other players dotted throughout the other teams have highlighted that the university scene does have a fair few players that are more than capable of taking it to UKIN 2. And potentially even beyond, with a fair few players in UKIN 1 at times. So it's key that there's been development and that it can continue to prosper, I feel. So it's nice to see yourself and other newer players doing well within the tournament. Even if it's middle of the leaderboard, it's still better than it was last season, which we don't talk about. We take the middle because it's not the bottom. So that's, I think, a key takeaway to have. Speaking of takeaways, what would you reckon this key takeaway of this past season has been for you? Like, what have you got from this tournament that you didn't have before?
This is probably my favourite question, is coming in as the underdogs again, where it was just everyone like, oh God, this new team is free. Look at them last season. It was a shambles. Like, we were kind of viewed as not really a contender in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way it turned out was, I feel our largest takeaway was actually getting some acknowledgement this season. We weren't just freebies for other teams. We had some people quite scared, which was nice to see. Yeah, it kept people on their toes, to say the least.
Yeah, it's good. It was good to see you bring the fight to some of the teams that weren't quite expecting us to do well against them. And I think it's a testament both to the skill of you guys and the ability for you guys to implement Virtue's tactics and Liam's counter-analysis. I think it was a really good dynamic that was built up this season, and it was great to see how everyone did. So, yeah, really proud and pleased with what you... Yeah, really proud and pleased with what you guys did.
Virtue and Liam were gems. They were, like, amazing.
Yeah, it's great to see them both go off and join Victus and move on.
Yeah. I mean, I can't be anything but happy for them, but it's like, man. Makes us think, what if we won a couple more matches, Shim?
Well, maybe next season.
Maybe next season.